So here we are, I finished my decreases. I have the desired amount of stitches that I want, my 24, and I've completed my 12 rows, and this is what my piece looks like right now. So at the next step, we are going to do a 3 needle bind off. So first we have to set up our stitches. So we're going to use 3 needles, our first needle, and then 2 other needles. If you have double pointed knitting needles, now is the time to use them, or we can use just any other needles, but double pointed would be best for this. So you're going to take your extra knitting needles and we're going to organize it as such. So you're going to take the amount of stitches you have divided by 2 and take that number divided by 2. So for example, if you have 16, you're going to divide that by 2 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we're going to put the first 4 stitches on our extra needle. The next 8, we're going to put it on another needle, and the remaining 4, we're going to put it on the first needle. So because I have 24, I'm going to divide that by 2 is 12, divide that by 2 is 6. So I'm going to put the first 6 on my first needle, put 12 on the second needle, and put 6 back onto the first needle. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to put 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold that to the side. Take my second needle and put on 12. 1, 2, 3. 12. Then put the remaining 6 on the first needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Okay, now we're going to bind it off. And that's why it's good to have double pointing knitting needles, because if you don't, you're like me, your working yarn is at the end here, you're going to have to flip the needle around. So take it off and put the stitches on the opposite side so that you can begin to work it. So now that it's on both needles, we're going to take our third needle and begin casting off. So to do that, all we do is knit through both. So knit through the first one, knit through the second one, wrap your arm around, pull through the second, pull through the first, and then pull it off. 1, knit through the second one, both of them. Now we have 2 stitches here. We are going to take the first one and pull it over the second, like that. Now we're going to knit through the second one, pull it off, take the previous stitch and wrap it over the first one. Now, and continue doing that. So knit through both, take the previous stitch and wrap it around the first one, like that.
And then when you get to the second part, just keep continuing, match them up, complete a knit through both, and then pull a previous stitch over the new stitch.
So once you're done, you take out your needle. I still have my loop here, but your piece looks like this. So you notice you have this part here that looks kind of rough, and this part here that is all nice and matchy. We're going to, this will be our right side, so the outside, and this ugly part here will be the inside. So at this point, we're just going to cut the string, but leave a tail because we'll deal with this later. And then keep the loop like that, don't touch it. We're going to begin the next part by sewing the backs together. And then the final part would be to add the white piping. So first we're going to sew the back together. So the way we're going to sew it is on the inside, of course, to have the seam on the inside. So begin by taking your tapestry needle and putting it on this end tail. And if this is the outside, then we're going to flip it the other way so that we're sewing on the inside. You're going to begin by matching it all up. And we're not going to sew on the outside stitch here. Instead, we're going to pick the inside stitch. So the inside stitch contains 2 knits, right? So similar to here, we have the two knits in each stitch, right? Like that. So we're going to just take 1 stitch of the 2 and we're going to sew through there. So when we pick it out, I'm going to leave the first, so each of these garter stitches has these lumps, a lump, a valley, a lump, a valley. We're going to leave the lumps and work in the valleys. Just going to match it up, find my 2 stitches, take 1 of them in the valleys and pull. Like that. And then I'm going to go to the next one. Leave the lumps, work in the valleys, the next one, find the next stitch, and pull it. Then I'm going to do the one across. Pull it, and then the one across, find the valleys, and pull it. So that's what I'm going to do all the way around. And in the end, it should create an invisible stitch where you won't see the seams. And once you've completed that, the stitch would look like this when you flip it inside out. And so you want to do it all the way to the very end so that there's no hole here. Cut it, and then cut it, tie it off, sew it in, and then you'll be done this heel part. Okay, that's what it'll look like. So continue doing that, and I will meet you once you're done so we can do the white piping. Now when I get to the very end, I'm going to stick my needle through the last stitch at the end here just to secure it, and then I'm done. I'm just going to secure it by tying a knot, weaving it in, and cutting it off. So here I am ready to do the piping. So I'm going to take my white yarn. This stitch holder we can take out. I'm going to take my white yarn, and through this loop here that we still have, I'm going to pull my white yarn through it. So to begin, I'm going to work in the 2 stitches. So I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch here and complete a single crochet. Next, I'm going to insert my hook into the 2 middle stitches. So the first middle stitch and complete a single crochet, and the second middle stitch right beside it, a single crochet. Now I'm going to go all the way to the corner one here, the corner one. and I'm going to complete a single crochet. Like that, and that will connect it all together at the toe. Now what I'm going to do is line it up. So in between these hills we have the valleys, so we're going to insert a hook into the valleys at the very top here, like that, for all the stitches. So leave the hills, and into the valleys we're going to insert a hook. So you're going to line it up, insert your hook into the first valley, line it up into the first valley, like this, and complete a single crochet. Work into the next valley, a single crochet like that. So you're going to continue doing it to the valley until you reach the desired length where your foot can easily slide into it, and I will meet you there. So for this slipper, the desired length was around 4.5 inches. So here's my piece. I have around, for the 4 inches, I have around 30 stitches, 31 stitches on here, just to give you an idea. And then, so when I get to this end here, I'm just going to continue the piping all the way around to get back to this point here. So continue single crocheting. All the way around. And when you get to the end here, you're going to cut it off, tie it in. This part here, what we're going to do is our two tails here, we're going to take our hook, stick it on the inside, pull it out, and pull the two tails into the slipper. Like this. Pull the two tails into it. And now in the inside, we are just going to tie them together. Now at the end here, when I get to the end, when I continue this back to the end, after I cut the string, I'm going to weave it in till I get to the toe. This is just my personal preference, till I get to the toe, and then in the toe I'm going to tie it off here so that you don't see the loose ends. Just how I did in this sock here. So I got to the end and I just weaved it through all the way to the very end, and I just tied it off at the toe here. So here I am at the end. I did my final stitch, and now just to finish it off, I'm going to insert my hook into this middle one right here and complete a slip stitch, and that'll secure it tightly. Okay, so here we are, we finished the slippers, and this is what my pair looks like. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Check out my other videos on my channel and subscribe for more videos.